Hi there, you're listening to Unnatural Selection, the show about newsy type stuff and things. My name is George,
My name is Tom.
And my name is Adam.
and with our powers combined, we are Unnatural Selection. Make sure you visit us at our salubrious home on the web, unnaturalshow.com. It's a podcast that tries to be funny in spite of all of the things that are happening.
I think if you keep saying how much we're trying, then eventually we'll get there.
I think that's how it works, is you just really emphasize the effort with comedy. I think that's how things become humorous.
People respect the effort, you know. It's one of those things where, you know,
Famously
they
so.
buy in.
Yeah, hecklers really
yeah.
enjoy seeing people just trying real hard up there.
We had I'm still recovering from a hangover, a 2-day hangover. But we had a comedian that
Welcome to your 30s.
that,
A big night out ruins your week.
attended our work annual awards night the other night. And look, he did a good job, but it was like a very big space with not that many people in it. So like,
The dream, I think, for a performer is as much
Yeah,
of inebriated corporate people not really listening to their
but also like the space, like it was a very big venue, and there was like, we were in like one section of it. It just felt the whole dynamic of like performer audience was off, and so he's just like, he had to keep like doing those jokes where they do the it's like, yeah, you guys are really excited tonight, aren't you? Like putting it back on the fact that there wasn't a response.
Yeah, but you're a great crowd. Great
guys are
crowd. Great crowd.
What else?
Best crowd.
What else?
So what do you do for work? Oh fuck, this is a work
You
thing. You all do
guys
the
all
same
work
thing.
the same place. Yeah.
So we did a good job, but I felt for it. I was like, this is a tough room.
Tough room.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm performing Madison Square Garden to 10 people.
That's kind of what it was like. It was intimate. Shall we say.
Excellent.
Well, not intimate, the opposite of intimate. But anyway, so I guess doing this podcast is kind of like that, you know, just like shouting out into the void, just like One Nation.
So, speaking of One Nation,
Yeah. Actually, One Nation feels like when the void shouts back.
yeah, the One Nation is very much the void, not being allowed to be voided. So there's been some movement with One Nation and the Christian sort of far right trying to lock hands and walk into the sunset. And in June, Barnaby Joyce and others addressed a large anti-abortion rally in Sydney, where there were some concerning behaviours on display, and it's being sort of reported out and analysed now from The Guardian as to how this is part of a broader strategy that One Nation is obviously trying to undertake to knit the far right and the Christian right into a cohesive voting bloc.
Yeah, sounds very much out of the US kind of playbook, right?
Straight out of the US playbook.
So much of the conservative politics over there is also rooted in Christian. At least they say it's rooted in Christianity. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you can go like deep down actual Christian values and be like, no, that doesn't comport at all. You know,
Yeah.
Jesus loved everyone.
I'm pretty sure
Like, he
Jesus
famously loved everyone.
hated the little guy. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So there's been some concerning developments in this area. I mean, obviously, you know, when we were coming up in our political awareness, there was some, you know, debate around abortion, and you know, I remember the RU 486 abortion pill was like a big thing growing up. So
The morning after pill.
in the
known as the
1990s.
morning after pill.
So yeah, I actually have to. I don't believe it's a morning after pill. I believe it's more of a
Okay, sorry. my
a
bad.
medical abortion, which would be slightly
Right,
later
right.
on in the process as opposed to the morning after pill. But yeah, so similar
Gotcha.
kind of thing. A drug induced, you know, abortive medication, right?
Yeah.
So it's not as though this hasn't been a point of contention in Australian politics for some time. Clearly it has, but it seems to now be reaching a renewed sort of fever pitch at the behest of One Nation and others. So we'll play a little bit of this this clip that from The Guardian, which shows some of the attendees and you know, sort of some of the stuff that's going on the far right with regards to abortion, because yeah, obviously it's pretty concerning given that we try to live in the 21st century. But anyway, here's Barnaby Joyce talking, spewing shit.
But you know why you do it? Because it's the right thing to do.
Surrounding me is a crowd of anti-abortion activists rallying out the front of New South Wales Parliament House tonight. They're here to support Barnaby Joyce, who's speaking tonight in support of a Libertarian MP's bill to restrict access to some abortions in New South Wales.
Rosary beads, I'm expecting success. I think that they've got the guts to stand up for what they believe in. I think Pauline's a very strong person, and if she's got the guts to stand up, I hope Australians have got the guts to follow her.
The one thing politicians fear is losing their job. They're very,
Trust me, because I am terrified.
very mindful of that. What I see before me here is about 1,500 people who can hand out how-to-vote cards. That's what I see before me here.
Since abortion was decriminalised across Australian states and territories almost 3 years ago, there have been a slew of attempts to wind things back, just like this latest bill in New South Wales.
Yeah, this is the first one of this I've been to.
And why'd you come to this one?
Some people from the Catholic Church told me about it.
We are so close to passing Australia's first ever pro-life bill in this place. Did you know? We are so close.
Tonight's event has been organised by Joanna Howe. She's been calling this a rally for Ruth and Emma. Those are the names she attached to an image of what she believed were fetuses, but turned out in fact to be sugar gliders.
Are you pro-killing babies in the womb up to birth?
We're just here to report on the rally.
No, you're not. You're giving a very biased report on what you're doing. We've been listening. You're obviously very pro-killing babies up to birth.
Jesus. Okay. Like obviously we're seeing the clip from the Guardian there of like their edited report, but doesn't strike me from all the other stuff the reporter was talking about that would be the case.
That you can have abortions up until birth. No, obviously that's fucking nonsense.
Yeah.
So abortion in Australia is legal. There are no federal abortion laws, though decriminalisation of the procedure has been enacted in all jurisdictions. Access to abortion varies between the states and territories. Surgical abortions are readily available on request within the first 22 to 24 weeks of pregnancy in most jurisdictions, though only up to 16 weeks in Tasmania. On your Adam. Later term abortions can be obtained with the approval of 2 doctors, though the ACT only requires a single physician's approval. So I would say that Australia's abortion laws are probably on the conservative side already. But if you look at the kind of rhetoric that's coming out of One Nation and the Christian far right, they'd have you believe that it's an abortion palooza here in Australia, that it's a drive-through, you get your Starbucks, you get your abortion, you keep moving, which is obviously not the case. And if you look at the policy positions that I'm loath to ever go to Pauline Hanson's website, but unfortunately for the purposes of this discussion, I've been forced to. You'll see that they have a number of quote-unquote pro-life positions that are listed on their website, which do not comport in any way with reality, you'll be unsurprised to learn. So, according to their website, One Nation will reduce the gestational limit for abortions. Current legislation in some states allows the abortion of an unborn child up until the day of birth. As we've learned, that is not true.
No, that's not true.
There is not I think ACT is the only state which doesn't have like a 22 to 24 week ban explicitly, but certainly doesn't allow day of abortions. Like, do you want to have this baby? Do you want to chuck it in the bin? Absolutely not a thing that happens.
Yeah, night before, no.
The second point here is ban sex-selective abortion. Sex-selective abortion is the practice of terminating a pregnancy based upon the predicted sex of the child. The selective abortion of female fetuses is most common where male children are valued over females. Again, there's a report here, which I'll post in the show notes from the UTS, which talks about, is sex-selective abortion really a thing in Australia? And the answer is no. Essentially, it's only when you might have genetic disorders that are associated with a particular gender. To IZT Trent in the chat, is this live or pre-recorded? We are live. I don't know.
Amazing if we weren't. Amazing if like you'd linked that up.
Just-
No, this is pre-recorded, but you had that clip just in there.
Just
You
ready
knew
to
that was
go.
gonna happen.
Just really fuck with this guy's head.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's obviously there is like the potential, I suppose, for someone to perform a sex selective abortion, but according to this review from UTS, that's if
there
it
is
does
not
happen,
evidence to
it
suggest
is
that.
vanishingly insignificant with
Yeah.
regards to how many there might actually be that are
Yeah.
occurring in Australia.
So yeah, I mean, much like a lot of One Nation's quote unquote policies and everything, it is all based on vibes.
It's all
and
vibes.
not on any sense of evidence or. Yeah, they are just going like, well, yeah, there's all like that lady we just heard talking to the journalist saying like, no, like yeah, you are clearly one of those biased reporters who wants to murder all the babies. They're like, well, there are people like that out there, and we can court their vote by precisely doing this. Evidence be damned. Like that. Yeah, it's the classic.
Yeah, it's got
I
nothing to do
wonder-
with the facts or the evidence. It's all just vibes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not really across the details of this, but I do wonder, given it is, I wouldn't say it's a core part of their policy platform, but it's obviously something that they're
Something they're talking about a lot.
deliberately going after.
I mean, Barnaby Joyce was talking
but-
at an anti-abortion rally for One Nation, right? So
Yeah,
clearly
yeah.
it's something they're trying to link up.
Well, I mean, I think the rally was organised by that other lady, but I mean, obviously if he's available, he's going to speak at it.
Barnaby Joyce is
know.
always available for a speaking spot, as we know.
Oh yes,
The most available guy in the
he
world.
is-
Just give him a buzz.
He is, by the way, just a political comedian.
Should we get him on the pod?
We actually should. Like, you know what? It'd be
No,
amazing.
We
Let's
really
go.
shouldn't.
And just
I think
and then just like halfway through the interview, just 30 minutes in, just come at him with some really hard hitting fact check journalism. Just really throw him off his game.
He'll say he'll do whatever he wants to. I mean, he said, politicians, the one thing they're afraid of is losing power, and it's like
You're
Yeah.
telling on yourself a little bit, Barnaby.
yeah, because he will say and do whatever he wants to keep power, basically. No, but what I was getting at here was
And
that
then the
I
other
wonder.
thing that they're afraid of, Adam, is the bottle. That's the thing that all
Yes.
politicians are afraid of, not just me specifically.
Like, how big a voting block are we really talking about here? That's the thing. that I'm
Well,
wondering.
I mean,
Because
the
in
article
in the
goes
United
into
S-
some. Do you want me to answer the question?
No, I want to just.
No,
Oh,
no.
sorry,
let
you were
my thought finish.
extemporizing. Sorry, you were just monologuing. I thought you wanted to answer to the question you posed. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, in the United States, it's a very large voter block, but in Australia, well, 44% of people say they're Christian on its census. I don't necessarily think that they're rocking up to church every week. So,
Well, 20% of them are of 1 in 5 people in Australia are regular churchgoers. So you are talking about people that do. I don't think it's fair to question how ardent people's faith, beliefs are, but I would say that the majority of the Christian population here in Australia is Anglican and Catholic, right? And these are, I mean, Catholicism obviously can be prone to extremes, but the Anglican Church is typically thought of as a little bit more differential to, living in the 21st century compared to other denominations, right? It's not like the Pentecostal kind of, speaking in tongues kind of stuff that you see in the United States, though that is a growing contingent here. Those organizations like Hillsong and those kinds of evangelical kind of types of worship are growing in popularity. So it's not nothing, right? Like no religion is the fastest growing group in the last census from recollection. So I don't think that Australia's religiosity is increasing per se, along with the rest of the Western world. It seems not to be. It seems to be eroding. But I think those that remain are increasingly fervent and ideological in their beliefs. And that is, even if it is 20% of the voting public, that's a significant chunk of people that if you win them over on, sort of single issue, social issues, can become a powerful voting bloc. You don't need every single person. You just need enough to form a plurality or a majority.
I actually
right?
I actually disagree. I think this will probably backfire on them. I would argue if we're saying that there are more younger people, I mean, that being said, there are a lot of conservative younger people, but if we're
I
saying
mean,
there
that
are more
guy
younger
profiled
people,
in the video seemed pretty young to me.
Yeah.
He seemed, I heard about this through the Catholic Church, said the guy in his 20s, right?
Yeah. But generally, I would say that if younger people have generally speaking, perhaps a more of a progressive bent, and particularly around, reproductive rights, that kind of thing, then does this actually swing people back away from One Nation on, if it comes down to single issue voting things? Yeah, they might not like dem immigrants, but people aren't going to tell me what to do with my own body, kind of thing, right? Like, I just think that there are. I think it could actually go. While this works in the United States, I don't know if it will work outside of that context. I think, this could
I'm
be a
inclined to
gamble.
disagree. I think a lot of this stuff, all of the stuff around anti-abortion, is really just veiled nationalism, right? We want people to have babies, and what kind of babies do we want? We want white babies. We don't want dem immigrant babies, the little brown babies. We want white Australian babies. We need more Australian jokes, and we need more Australian babies, in the words of Matt Canavan. And what this really ties into is this, nationalistic, natalist in both senses of the term, kind of perspective, right? It's all of a piece. And when we talked about like the Why Are We So Polarized, the book by Ezra Klein, Why We're So Polarized, he talks a lot about the great sort. And if you're aligned on abortion issues and pro-fossil fuel and pro-guns and pro-whatever, you're obviously going to be part of the Conservative Party. And if One Nation now represents the vanguard of what is the most conservative thing that you are allowed to be in Australian politics, then I think it's naturally going to capture a large amount of voters are going to get caught up in that dragnet. And along with all the other things that we've discussed before around pessimism around the economy and cost of living and dissatisfaction with the two major parties and the Liberal National Party's ostensible collapse, I think all of these form the basis of a far-right, hyper-conservative shift.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously what they're going for. That they're replicating they've not only are they taking the funding, which is from Gina Reinhart, but the strategy is all based off an American conservative playbook.
And there's obviously going to be regional variations
other-
and things like that. Like not
Yeah.
everything that works in America is going to work here.
Well,
like I think
this
the
is what
guns rights stuff obviously kind of falls a bit
Yeah.
flat here in Australia comparatively to the Americas. But
Well, what I
think
wonder
there's a
is
lot of
that-
things about this playbook that work, and they don't just work in America. They've worked elsewhere as well, right?
I just don't know whether or not they'll have time to work it out. But maybe not this election, maybe next election, something like that. But
We'll get them next time, says Adam.
the other thing that they've been doing is there was a report out in the ABC this week that they're using Facebook bots basically to amplify outreach and
Where have we seen that before?
Oh yeah, I mean that's look at anything in the UK in the last couple of years as well as the United States. So in Australia, One Nation's message is being amplified by these bots, and what that means is that there'll be a post or something, and there are a lot of fake accounts that basically, or accounts based in Indonesia, basically, is what I read.
I thought that area is pretty popular for like bot farm, just engagement, engagement factories.
Just commenting, liking, and that sort of boosts it in the algorithm. and
amplifying
away
it
goes.
through bot farms. Yeah, I mean, we've seen that as a tactic from the far right for many years now. I don't think any of that's surprising. I just want to touch on one or two more points from the Pauline Hanson's policy page, just because they are banana fucking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Medical care for babies born alive during an abortion. Neonatal care must be provided to babies born alive during an abortion, as would be given to any other child born at the same stage of pregnancy and in the same medical condition. Born alive during an abortion seems like an oxymoron to me.
I
but
don't think. Yeah,
I don't know
that's
what
not
the
a
fuck that
sentence I
means.
think I've ever heard before.
No. Anesthetized abortion. Current procedures across Australia only offer the mother anesthetic when performing a surgical abortion. Not a medical expert, but as far as I'm aware, I don't think it would be physically possible to anesthetize anesthetize the fetus during an abortive procedure. Restore doctors' rights. Reinstitute a doctor's full right to a full conscientious objection to abortion. Again, I don't think that's really a problem in Australia. If you don't want to perform abortions, then you probably wouldn't be an OB. Ban organ harvesting. Prevent the use of aborted baby organs. Now, without even checking, I'm sure that is absolute fucking nonsense.
Yeah,
right?
I'm pretty sure in all the legal avenues of when an abortion is allowed to take place, the fetus would not have any organs worth harvesting.
No, they would
Just my completely unqualified guess. But no,
so
that's,
These are things that Pauline Hanson has on her pro-life One Nation webpage. These are their positions, right? So I think the more we can communicate this stuff out to people and say, this is what Nation believes in, these are the quote-unquote policies that they believe in, the more we can inform them and let them know that these people are not just Aussie battlers trying to do their best for the Aussie populace, for battling Aussie family, working family battlers. It's like, no, these are extremists. These people believe in things that are obviously immediately provably false, and they are trying to capitalize on your discontent to win power for their own gains.
And it's not a grassroots movement. It's being funded by a mining magnate, and
AstroTurf.
They are standing up. While Pauline Hanson's been in Australian politics for many years, the political movement we're talking about here has grown rapidly over the last 24 months, and that is, it's being stood up. The ship is being built as they're flying it. That doesn't make any sense, but you get the analogy. The ship, the plane.
the spaceship.
Spaceship. It's a spaceship. And so it's, this concept that we've listened to the Australian people and we've learned and it's not. Like, it's an imported American playbook with mining, private sector mining money. And if we're going down this list of like, oh, these guys really get us, like, you're not fucking paying attention. But that is what they're gambling on. That is what they're playing off. Is the fact that people aren't paying attention.
Yeah, and their policy is based on stuff that doesn't exist. Like that's sort of what's crazy is that, like, not only they trying to put, like, not only is it putting forward just a policy platform. Yeah, you've got two things, right? You've got, like, people who there might be people, just a general public, like, that believe these things are occurring, so they have a policy to combat it, right? But the other avenue is if you've got anyone on the whole, oh, we don't like them immigrants, and they read the policy platform and see, oh, like, they want to ban organ harvesting from aborted babies. That sounds awful. And they just start believing that's a thing that occurs, even though there's, no, it doesn't, and there's no evidence to suggest it does. Like, they are creating the theater for these kinds of attitudes to prevail.
Yeah, it's create your own talking points. The other thing is, like, some of these, I don't know if all of these positions, but there'll be similarities between this and what Family First have had for the last 10, 20 years. I mean, I don't know if I'd say Family First's policies are probably more well researched than some of these things that are put out there. But, like, I guess
don't know what leads you to believe that.
Well, I just wonder.
Thoroughly researched Family First policies. Adam Doreen, 2026.
I just wonder whether or not they've been around for a while, so they've had to, like, think about what they're saying. But I mean, I haven't read them recently. But what I'm getting at here is that, again, it feels like they're going after the margins. So let's pick up the Family First voters. Let's, as you said, let's push all these former far right, the Sustainable Australia Party, the Family First Party. Let's get all these guys and we'll put them in a room and we'll take their votes.
We called an episode or two ago. We called the episode "Conservative Consolidation." I really do think that's what's happening here. They're trying to bring all of these, conservative and far right organizations and perspectives under the one umbrella. And if you do that, I think, unfortunately, you probably do have enough of a voting bloc to form, if not a majority, then at least a substantial plurality of Australian voters. And that, in combination with the coalition or whomever that they decide to team up with, might be enough to actually get them over the line. Now, I think it was Erica Betts. Was it Erica Betts? No, it was Dan Tehan this morning. I saw a report from The Guardian saying that the coalition is absolutely not considering joining up with One Nation, which leads me to believe that the coalition absolutely
Absolutely
are
will.
considering joining up with One Nation.
Yeah.
Because why would you say it if that was not a thing? He goes, we haven't even thought about it. It's like, well, but it's that why are we talking about it then, Dan?
Yeah. Nobody's thought about it. Who said we thought about it?
Yeah.
Don't
We'll
tell
get-
the papers I thought about
What we'll get is if it gets to like a hung election or something, and let's say there's a couple of seats in it or something, it'll get down to them.
A well-hung election.
What was
Hello.
the we've come to a different view.
Yes,
That will be
yeah,
the
yeah.
word. We haven't changed our mind. We've come to a different view.
Yeah, no, I just decided that I really wanted to be in power. So
Yeah. And it's okay for them to come to a different view
is.
when they are deciding to team up with One Nation, but it's not okay for
Labour and the Greens.
Jim Chalmers to come to a different view on negative gearing. Like no. That's awful, but no, we're allowed to come to a different view when it means courting the hellscape that is
yeah.
conservative.
And the
Australian
fact
politics.
is, it's because the Liberals and the Nationals have a lot more in common with One Nation than they ever would with Labor or the Greens. They hate Labor and the Greens with the fire of 1,000 suns, and they love being in power. And honestly, I think a lot of people in the coalition right now, given its conservative bent and the immolation of the moderate wing of the party, probably believe in quite a few of these things. They just don't say them out loud. So it's
Well,
not
or
looking...
they don't think to say them out loud until they're like, "Oh, it could keep me in my job." Like, I mean,
Yeah. Oh, wait,
Barnaby's
this is good for
right.
me to say out
Yeah.
loud now? Yeah, okay, sure.
Barnaby's right. Like, it's they wanna remain in their seat. Right?
Yeah.
I
Is
mean,
it-
I'd
must be
argue
s-
that's been Pauline Hanson's game this entire time, right? Like, whether or not she's probably, she's been doing this for 30 years, so she probably believes her own hype at this stage. But, like, surely for the longest time, it's if I just keep being publicly the pariah that says racist shit, I will get re-elected to a job I only have to turn up to, like, 52% of the time and get,
Yeah.
like, a six-figure salary. Great.
The whole
Great.
thing
I'll
is
keep my
rort.
power no matter how much. I'll just keep this because, like, fuck, what am I gonna do? Get a regular job? No, I'll just be the country's racist and get paid six figures.
Surely being a member of parliament can't be that good. Like, that you have to lie and steal and scheme and cheat and fuck over the Australian public to just keep you, like, surely you can't. It must be fucking amazing. It must be so good to be a
I
member of
reckon-
parliament that they're happy to throw all of their principles aside, throw the country under the bus just to keep this fucking job for themselves.
where
I've heard it's
I think it's
stressful,
gotten too.
right?
Yeah, well, I think it's gotten too far now from her perspective, right? Like when you're just, I'm the only elected member of this Agri party, and yeah, I'm here, and I'll wear a burqa to Parliament occasionally, but I still get my six figures. Great, but now that it's like, hey, Pauline, like, you might actually, you're a contender for Prime Minister now, so here's all the scrutiny that entails. Now it's going to be a shit ton. Like, it's shit to be the Prime Minister. To be a random backbencher who no one can name, it's probably pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's if One Nation does make up any part of a future government, they will be the dog that caught the car, right? They just would have no clue what to actually do with power.
It'll be
And
a
you
Donald
hear
Trump
some commentary.
2016 situation. It's going to
Yeah.
be like we were not prepared for this. Yeah.
Not prepared for this, but we'll figure it out in 10 years and then ruin the world.
And the commentary that makes the least sense to me whatsoever is those that say, like, well, once they get into power, they have to moderate. Like they said this about Georgia Maloney, and they said this about A. Hitler back in the day as well. Like once he gets into power, he's going to have to face the realities of governance, and he's going to have to moderate and calm down a little bit. And things aren't going to be as easy as they are from the outside. Once you're inside, once you're governing, it's going to be completely different. So it's like, so your argument is to hand power to the fascists until they get bored with it. And then, the country will naturally just kind of like come
Yeah.
back into line. Like whenever has that worked
And then I
historically?
guess we'll live in the rubble.
Yeah. As we're warming our hands by the bin fire, we'll say, "Oh, that was a fucking terrible idea. Shouldn't have voted for that crazy cunt."
But we lived, we learned, and we acted.
And we did. So yeah, we'll post all this stuff in the show notes. The thing that I find so frustrating about all this stuff is like, not only is this stuff very easily Googleable, it's just like you could easily find the information that you wanted to if you were so inclined, and to put policies up on your webpage that you must know to be false is like, to my mind, it's so disgusting because
You're assuming that they haven't just copied them directly out of Like, I don't think they know that they're even not. I don't
If
think
you're
they
writing
even
something on a
understand
website, you must go, is that true? Like, how do we word
No.
that to make sure it's
No.
true? They're just
No,
not
George.
it. Oh, I
interested.
don't reckon they've even
No,
done
they
that
don't do
far.
that.
I don't know
don't
if
think
they
they've
don't
even gone
know
that
or if they
far.
don't care. Either way, it's disgusting, right?
Oh, they
Like,
don't care. They
it's-
don't care.
it's-
100%.
Barnaby
Yeah,
Joyce didn't
you know.
even know when they were announcing the policies the other week for
the
Kick-
nationalisation.
yeah,
Yeah,
kicking,
he didn't even know what the policy was.
yeah.
They don't know
Yeah.
what their policies are because they are building
Yeah, a bunch
the
of fucking
plane
idiots.
as it's taking off, right?
Yeah.
As I said, it's policy on the run, and they've built, and again, they've built.
It's not even
this-
policy because policy suggests you've done a Google to
Yeah.
like figure out what the
Talking
problem
points.
is.
Talking points on the run.
It's
There
just
you go.
talking
Yeah,
points.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, even if you ask ChatGPT to come up with these talking points, it wouldn't because ChatGPT is like, oh, it sounds like that might be bullshit. Like, I'm probably not going to think that might be outside of our terms of
think-
use. I don't know if we can say that,
think
babies
you have
are
more-
having their organs harvested. Let me do a quick Google on that.
I think you have more faith in ChatGPT than I
Well-
do. I reckon it would dig up a whole bunch of Reddit threads and be like, 100% they're harvesting organs from fetuses. You're so right to think that. How insightful. You are asking the right
It's
questions.
such a great
Barnaby.
question to ask at this time,
Yeah.
Barnaby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
I don't know.
right to push back.
It's either they're idiots or they're crooks, and either way, you can't vote for these people. It's just like comically inept. It's like P.T. Barnum became the leader of the country. You know what I mean? Like it's
George
just the
Crazy
obvious
Third
hucksters.
thing, they are both.
Yeah,
They are idiots and they're crooks.
yeah. And the thing is, someone's going to read that, and some low information voter's going to say ban organ harvesting, prevent the use of aborted baby organs, and then go, oh my god, that sounds terrible.
Yeah,
like
that's what I
they'll
meant
hear
before.
they'll hear a
Yeah,
line, they'll hear a headline, and they'll
believe
go, that's a crazy thing. We got to stop that. And it's like you didn't. At no point did you wonder, like, maybe that is something that's fucking insane and obviously not true. Like, at no point did it cross your. Are you so completely smooth-brained that you think we're harvesting baby organs from babies born at, during an abortion, but also alive at 8 months and 29 days? Like, do you really think that that's happening? Because if so, like, I think you need to be institutionalized. Ah.
Do you want to talk
People-
about LNG exporting?
Yeah, for sure.
Would
That'll
that
cheer
cheer
me up.
you up?
That'll cheer me up. How many smooth-brained idiots do we have that actually think this shit? Okay. Anyway, so you might know that there's been a war occurring in Iran, or as
What?
Donald Trump refers to it, a little excursion,
Since when?
a little bummy bum. He also said he was going to enjoy a threesome with his sons this week. So, but we don't have time. We
That's
don't have
true.
time.
That's true. He did say that.
After
Giving them a Medal of Freedom?
Yeah, well, that was the medal. He said he was going to give one to himself and one to each of his sons. I don't know
And
where
then
Baron.
fuck
He
'em?
said Eric and Don didn't even mention Baron.
Yeah,
And he
he's like,
said
my
them-
two sons, famously has a third son.
Yeah.
But,
And then we're going to have a little threesome, which would be Donald Trump's first threesome. At least his first family threesome, I suppose. Australia's giant LNG exporters are set to enjoy a $27 billion boost to their revenues due to the Middle East conflict, according to new government estimates. And people like David Pocock, when those figures were generated, sat bolt upright in bed in a cold sweat and said, I have been summoned, and immediately went to the barricade to renew calls for his gas tax. That he's been a big proponent of, which I have to say is looking more and more appealing as the world disintegrates more and more. So you may remember that the Albanese government was under pressure earlier this year to announce plans to lift taxes on gas exports because our petroleum resources and rent tax is woeful and insufficient. But the idea obviously had to be shelved as a result of the conflict in Iran and global gas and oil shortages. It obviously was not a great idea to announce additional taxes on the oil industry, which was undergoing a shock. Now, since then, they've been recording record profits. The Department of Industry, Science and Resources estimated that Australia's LNG export earnings for the 26-27 year would be, in fact, $67.6 billion, which was $21 billion above what was forecasted last December. The department also upgraded its export earnings estimates for the past financial year by $6 billion and warned extended disruptions could add a further $7 billion to LNG exports in the 2026-2027 year. So you might think, given all these price pressures, given the global spike in demand for the commodities that we export, surely the Australian tax base will benefit substantially from the extra tens of billions of dollars of forecasted revenue. And you may be unsurprised to learn that that is not, in fact, the case. So a preliminary analysis from the weekend, which was a month ago, so before these new, even extra improved revised numbers that the government has put out, says that even though there was expected to be the total revenue was for this financial year of gas exports was expected to reach 63.9 billion. So you'll notice that it's actually less. So it's an extra 4 billion. So the revised estimate says it's an extra $4 billion above that revised estimate, which we got a month ago. The increase in the PRRT is not that substantial. So it's an extra $21 billion. Sorry, an extra $21 billion above what was forecast in terms of revenue. How much extra revenue do you think that equates to for the taxpayer, if you had to guess, without looking? So it's an extra 27.
I've already looked.
You've already looked at it?
In front of me.
Okay.
Turns
Well-
out you gave us the article before. The
I
show,
did,
so we
yeah,
can
but I didn't
scroll
think you'd
through.
actually read it.
Okay, okay, I'll pretend I haven't read it. $20.
Yeah, well, close. So
$40?
a little bit more than that. Not much
$60.
more though. Slightly more. Okay, all right. So we're going from a petroleum resource rent tax of 1.8 billion for the 26-27 year, and it's shooting all the way up to
To $55.
1.9 billion.
Oh,
So it's a $100 million increase in the tax revenue that we're expected to generate out of this. Now, the article here does go on to say that that is going to filter through in future years to increased corporate taxes and other kinds of things. So the actual benefit might be a couple of $1 billion staggered over the next 5 years. But,
Just a couple.
you know, considering that we had a $21 billion jump in revenues to get a couple of billion staggered over the next couple of years, extra as a result of all of this
It's not a lot.
seems woefully insufficient. And again, has renewed calls that if only we had some sort of mining super profits tax, if only some one KRUD had proposed something like that back in the day, which got thoroughly denounced, then we, the Australian public, could have been the beneficiaries of the things that we dig up out of our earth. But sadly, of course, that is not the case because of these long-term agreements and contracts that we've got. Means that we're selling all of these goods over to Japan, for instance, who
Then
then
on-sells them sometimes.
who then turns it
doesn't
around
Yeah.
and arbitrages it, and having done no work whatsoever to obtain the resource other than establish a very sweetheart deal with the Australian government several years ago, turns around and then sells it onto the market at market price and then keeps the difference, otherwise known as arbitrage. So that's cool and fun for us, the Australian people.
So ostensibly why, because they were looking at this as part pre-budget, ostensibly why they decided against it is that to change or to sort of, not to alter because technically this tax wouldn't alter the contracts as far as I'm aware, but to change
It would change the calculus for Australian companies.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, correct. Would have put their negotiating power at risk when it came to securing immediate oil supply, which was the main concern.
Which they needed to do and which they did, right?
So I'd argue, look, I think they did the right thing. Assuming that's true. Like, I haven't actually seen it explicitly said by the government. It's just been sort of talked about.
They've talked around it, yeah.
Yeah. But assuming that's true, I think probably the right move for the right time. But I would like to see this revisited, in the near future. Because
I mean, once the crisis in Iran is over, once the Strait of Hormuz is open again and things start flowing, assuming that ever happens, it stands to reason that Australians should be benefiting a lot more from the resources that we generate than we are compared to, we're one of the third largest LNG exporters in the world, and yet the revenue that we generate for our country compared to Norway or Qatar is minuscule. It's a fraction of what they generate. Norway funds all of their green investments and social spending and all this sort of stuff out of the sovereign wealth fund that is funded by their oil revenues. So we have a unique position here in Australia in that we're a developed economy that also has an abundance of natural resources that we can capitalize on to make everyone's lives better, and we just choose not to. And it's incredibly frustrating.
David Pocock, if he had any hair, he would have lost it a long time ago. He's been stressing about this for a while. The Australian Institute as well are still on this. I don't think this issue will go away. It feels like it's like the genie's out of the bottle a little bit with this one. So I think it's a question of time. I think it's going to be one of these things of like, is this the kind of thing they take to an election? Like, do you know what I mean?
Possibly.
Like, is this
Maybe.
do we say no now, put it in the back pocket, and then bring it out in 2 years' time?
As we all know, the Australian voting public loves delaying small amounts of incremental progress until the next election. I think that's what everyone's really hungry for is, what do we want? An incremental adjustment to the gas tax. When do we want it? 3 to 5 years from now, staged over the forward estimates.
I mean, as an example, I was reading before the show. I didn't put them in notes, but like the gambling, that was the Murphy report that came out
Gambling reforms that they
3
got.
years ago was the report, right? And they have only just put some legislation through, proposed some legislation, which no one's happy with. It has to go to an inquiry.
Well, that's
But it's-
the Labor way. That's how you know you're compromising on every single possible point of perspective, is if no one's happy with it.
No one's happy with it. I haven't got the details, though. Just
Success! Everyone's unhappy. Labor 2026.
Yeah, everyone
But I-
disliked that.
I know it's going to an inquiry because that's the way it goes. But it's 3 years, man. 3 years, and they've just put some legislation through, and now they're like, oh, well, everyone's like, oh, you're going too quickly. But like, also, why did it take you so long? So
You're going too quickly. It's been 3 years.
It's only been 3 years. Yeah, and I know that when that report initially dropped, there was some really heavy lobbying done by the gambling industry to help sort of kick the can down the road and water things down, right? So I'm not surprised at any of that, but I mean, we need to do a deep dive probably on exactly what it is they're proposing. I'm not up to date with the latest details.
I wasn't ready to
It's
the individual bits themselves.
it does seem like it fits a pattern of behavior for Labor in that they have sort of made fairly large promises as to the things that they want to achieve and then are forced to capitulate in the face of corporate or public pushback. So it's not really setting the stage for a resounding populist victory at the next election against One Nation.
I mean, what are the lobbyists? I mean, like, if you're a lobbyist and, like, maybe for the gambling stuff, right? Like why? Like, what are they saying that makes the politicians go, oh, yeah, no, we can't.
What are they saying? They're saying, I'll stop giving you money, cunt. Do what the fuck I say.
Yeah.
Do you
yeah,
reckon it's
probably saying, like,
donations?
Yeah.
donations. Also, like, do you know how much money you get from pokies being allowed?
Yeah, there's massive tax
Like,
revenue, which is not to be ignored on the
true,
state
actually.
level. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Yeah, they're like,
State
sure,
governments.
lives are being ruined, but do you know how much money you're getting?
Yeah, it does come
But
at the cost of ruining people's lives. But look at all the pokies revenue that you're getting. You don't want to have to fund your hospitals properly, do you?
And also, look at all the bright lights and noises. Whee!
Ding, 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 ding.
I went
Jingle,
into
jingle,
a-
jingle the keys, jingle the keys.
I went into a gaming area of a pub quite recently. And,
Is this on the night that you're still recovering from?
No, it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And yeah, it is. I mean, I get it, but I also don't get it. Like, it is mind-numbingly
I don't get
boring
it.
in there.
I
like,
don't understand it.
you
Much
just
better
press
to
the,
play Battlefield
you just-
6. That's
Yeah.
definitely less mind-numbing.
That I had a similar thing. Like, we're talking like 2 Christmas parties ago or whatever. That I was like one of like as people are tapering off because I'm up here in Sydney and pokies are everywhere, and up here in Sydney and people were tapering off. It was just me and a couple of the others who had like only properly met that day, and they were like, we want to go into the gambling area, and I still like had my drink, so I was like, oh, okay, yeah, all right. And we went there and they were playing on one of the machines, and like, yes, pissed as newts, but I was trying to was trying to get them to explain to me how it worked because they kept like pressing.
No one
things,
knows.
and
No one
things
knows,
would-
Tom.
Yeah, they would press buttons, things would happen, and they'd be ecstatic or furious, and I couldn't get the pattern. I was just like, wait,
It's
'cause,
just a
like,
little dopamine
you know,
machine. It's
yeah,
a fucking Skinner box.
But
like,
that's the thing, like the dopamine stuff was coming because I understand like the basic thing of like, you want 3 of the same image to match up, and it's totally arbitrary and it's like randomly generated by code. But
yes,
they
randomly
weren't getting-
generated, but always in the house's favor. Like
Yeah.
statistically, you will never
Like,
win, right? Like
but,
you will
like-
always spend more than you make.
But there was more than 3 symbols coming up. Like, they had more, like you could get 5 of the same thing, but they'd get 3 of the same thing and then 2 the other things, and they weren't happy about that, but then sometimes they were, and I was like, what's going on? And they could not explain it to me.
Depends
And
how
I'm
many
just like,
rows
this
you're
is
playing. There's rows, and you can bet the number of rows.
It's all just a way to
but
get
it
you to
is-
put more money into
Exactly.
the machine.
like, yeah,
So
it just
you know,
it just made no sense to me.
You'll get a couple of bucks. You'll win. You'll get a couple of bucks back into the kitty, and you go, great. Okay, I'll reinvest that money back into future game. Like it just, as George said, it's a little stipend to just keep you in the machine for as long as possible.
Yeah,
And then
the whole thing
occasionally-
has been psychologically designed
Yeah.
to give
Oh,
you
yeah.
just enough reward to keep you at the machine losing money. Like the whole thing, it's the dumbest possible denominator of gambling, as far as I'm concerned. Like it
Yeah,
really is just.
There's no skill involved.
It's just not that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think gambling as in general as an industry is just morally reprehensible and disgusting and should be banned. But like at
On
least
what grounds?
at least when you're playing poker or something like that, you're playing the person opposite to you. There's like an element of skill.
Oh, it's a game.
You know, it's a game. Like
There's
there's
a social element to it.
there's
as well,
something
yeah.
involved that's happening in your brain when you're trying to determine
You
not
can
just the
be
mathematics
good
of
at
like
poker.
yeah, you can be good at poker, and then we see that because there are world poker championships. There are people that are good at
Yeah.
poker and less good at poker, right? So
Yeah.
at least I get that from the perspective of a game, and like the side effect of that is that money's at stake, right? A poker machine is literally, to my mind, it's the dumbest possible fucking
it
thing
is.
that an adult could do with their time.
100%.
Like it's just embarrassing.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's
But it's designed to be addictive. They
Yeah.
have psychologists that come in and design these things, the lights and the bings and the ping pongs. It's the same reason when you level up in Battlefield 6 that it goes
Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
bing bing bing.
It's the same
It's the same
psychological
effect.
thing.
Yeah.
We love progress sounds.
Yeah, exactly.
Dun 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 dun. When you get a
Guys,
new thing.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm like
and for-
1/70th of the way to unlocking the M16. Like, oh, fucking can't wait for that.
Don't get me started on the bloody Tracer Dart, guys. Do not get me started on the Tracer Dart journey that I've been on.
Adam,
finally,
when you
unlocked
get
bad
that
boy.
tracer dart,
I got it.
you
I
might.
got it.
Okay, are you finally happy?
No.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And then there's the next thing.
Yeah,
For the listener, we play a lot of Battlefield 6.
Are we any
and
good? Jury's
No.
out.
No, we're not. Absolutely not.
George looked at my thing the other day and he's like, how are you level 100 and whatever it was?
Yeah.
And he's like,
And
what do you
this
do? And I was like,
trash.
I was like someone who slowly slinks off to the pokies probably at random times. I was like, I just randomly like play by myself during the week.
Yeah.
Just-
I mean, I guess people have their hobbies. Like, we probably spend more on gaming than other, like, video games and that sort of stuff than people, than other people. But I don't know. Pokies, it just seems like so mindless. You see the people at the pokie machines, they don't look happy, dude. Like, they look like they're zombies, right? Like, they're just completely locked into this sort of psychological game that is being played on them, and it just seems
Yeah.
fucking miserable.
I mean,
dude.
I don't
and it
disagree.
ruins people's
Yeah.
lives. Like, as we
Yes.
said, people
Yeah.
lose their entire life savings and pour it into this. Like, obviously, lose your entire life savings by pouring it into SpaceX. That's much smarter. But
Oh yeah, and I mean, we could go on a huge tangent about how there are video games now designed to do a similar thing, right?
Yeah.
But, for another time.
anyway, let's turn to the much happier topic of fascism. Tom, the Patriot Front was marching on Washington, D.C. yesterday during the 4th
Yeah.
of July celebrations. What can you tell me about that?
Well, I'd say today their time. We're ahead in the time zone. But yeah, the 4th of July. So obviously there's been a big build up to this in the States. The whole algae infested reflecting pool was meant to be American flag blue for this amazing event of the 4th
But it
of
was
July.
American money green instead.
Ding 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 ding. It's the 250th anniversary of American independence. I
The
guess.
semi-quincentennial.
Yep. And
I've got a semi just thinking about it.
Yeah, so 250 years, and just as Adam and I were discussing a couple weeks ago, that the reflecting pool debacle is just the perfect encapsulation of the Trump presidency.
Perfect metaphor.
Like just this insanely, like almost too perfect hack metaphor. Not to be outdone, the 250th anniversary had the extra hack metaphor of just 400 Confederate flag waving, like masked neo-Nazis just rocked up into Washington D.C. to celebrate the 4th of July.
What the founding fathers really intended.
I don't know if they know the Confederacy lost. The America that you belong to had a victory over the Confederacy.
Like, yeah. So, like, they're officially losers.
Yes.
Like, you know, you can call people losers because you just think how they choose to spend their time is bad and whatever. But no, you're waving the loser flag.
Yeah, the loser flag. Yeah, yeah. It's like getting up in Germany and waving the flag of the Third Reich around. It's like that you lost.
Yeah, you lost, famously so.
Yes.
So there's the uniform they seem to have gone with here, and I'm going to comment on. There's a little bit. I'll get to why I'm commenting on this. They've gone with like sort of military sort of cargo pants. Blue sort of either shirts or
button-up or
polos.
Yeah.
And then a white caps with sunglasses and a white balaclava covering their entire face or face mask, basically. Which, you know, if you know anything about the weather at the moment in Washington, D.C., it's really fucking hot.
It's
They're having a heat wave.
I'm just saying, guys, like, do yourselves a favor. Take the masks off. You know, you will feel refreshed and renewed, and we'll all get to see your faces.
Yeah, I was going to say for the what are they called, the Patriot Front? You know, all these people who are so proud of what they represent in the country they want to be living in, cowardly hiding behind masks is a choice.
Well, say what you want about the KKK, and I do. The white sheet, I think, is probably a lot more breathable, probably a lot more suited to a warm weather environment.
Look at the kind of dress, you know, like the traditional garbs of the Middle East. You know, while you're just like, whoa, that's like covering the whole body, isn't it so hot out there? It's like, no, but like, you know, airflow and everything, like it's actually quite works well.
You're wearing white all over, it reflects a lot of the heat. I think
it's breezy, just lets things just cool down there.
And look, I'm sure all of these guys have white hooded robes in their closets at home anyway. So it's not like
they double as bed sheets.
You don't have to, you know, sort of come up with an additional expense. I mean, it's already something that you've got because because you have it already. So
but yeah, it's also just insanely terrifying. Just to
it's bad.
Yeah,
to be clear,
bad.
The Unnatural Selection podcast takes a firm stance against fascist nationalism. You may be unsurprised to learn.
What? What?
Yeah, no, I think we can agree
Adam's
on that.
like, since when?
Adam's like, I don't know if we took a vote on this. I think we need a quorum before we can arrive at official show positions. But
we talked about it when you were in the can.
So what are they? They rocked up and they marched across. Sort of Washington, basically. These 400 people?
They were marching outside like Union Station. There's a photograph that I think is one for the history books, one for the ages. For like this is from like on the 200. I keep going to say 25th, 250th anniversary of American independence. There's a photo of just all these men on I believe it's a train. In their white balaclavas. In their hats all along there, and there's just a black person sitting in the middle, like on their own seat, just looking very uncomfortable.
Just one really uncomfortable black lady sat there amongst all the white supremacists. That's,
all the white supremacists.
Actually, again, perfect encapsulation of the 250 years of American history, is it not?
It's almost lazy. Like it's so lazy, but it's just you can't.
We don't want you here, they say about the people that they enslaved and brought against their will from Africa and then kept in bondage for a couple hundred years. Yeah, that's great work, guys.
So, if you want to know how America's going.
This is one part of their 250th celebration. Twin Roses in the chat. Welcome, Twin Rotors. You missed the gas talk that we had. You'll have to go back and watch the rest of it.
Yes, Twin Rotors very invested in the gas tax, so you'll have to go back and listen to the post-recording.
But it's been there's sort of been there's been a lead up of like a week and a bit of the various celebrations. Like there's he redirected 250 funds to his personal 250 trust. I have no idea. Maybe.
I haven't heard of that, but that would not surprise me if Trump had redirected a bunch of funds. I remember seeing a report that came out last week that said, and this is just based on his public disclosures that he's forced to make as president, that his net wealth had increased by $2.2 billion during the course of the first year of his presidency. So, cool, normal president stuff. Right, but like Hillary Clinton did speeches for banks, and that's like fucking corrupt as fuck, bro. Oh, the president built a crypto empire on fucking nonsense and bullshit, and is literally screwing voters, foreign governments, and everyone alike to the tune of billions of dollars. Cool, fine, and normal. I'm a Republican voter, and I'm consistent.
Yeah, the 250th celebrations have been kind of wild. Obviously, it's been very hot in the United States, you know, and the Republicans have been saying lots of people have been going to these things, but a lot of the footage that they're airing in Australia shows like empty.
There's a lot of Midas touch footage of people snickering, going, "There's fucking nobody," and they're like, "And there's so many fucking people here." And then like the camera swings around, and the whole National Mall is empty. There's like 100 people at the front near where the stage is, and the whole place is empty.
But what I was saying before the show is that. What sort of sickens me about this is that it's kind of this, you know, I mean, one, it's a 250th anniversary. Like, do you really need to go as ham as you have? Not really. Just wait for the 300th.
I mean, I feel like
but Trump won't be president then,
Yeah,
Adam.
exactly.
Like that's why he loves a celebration.
But I just, it's deeply partisan. It's this revisionist, you know, propaganda-based version of American history, which reminds me of some like dystopian hellscape. Is kind of
the BioShock games you mentioned before the show. Yeah,
Yeah,
that seems pretty like a pretty good. Yeah, that's exactly the kind of attitude that those games were,
You know,
sort of satirizing and
yeah.
commenting on. Was this kind of ridiculous, absurd nationalism, patriotism, revisionist history nonsense, right?
you know, how good was, but like the American War for Independence was pretty horrible. Like, you know, a lot of people died. But I mean, I guess that's what they're commemorating. But, you know, it was the birth of a nation, all that kind of stuff. But
Birth of a nation, unexpected pun that you just made there, yes?
Yeah. But, you know, like, for instance, you look at Trump's speech at Mount Rushmore and just the tirade that he went on. It's absolutely insane, like the kind of shit he's been spewing out of his mouth. And I don't know, like it's almost like, you know, by doing this, it's just a way of papering over the cracks. You know, it's kind of thing North Korea does. You know what I mean? Like putting on a military parade kind of thing. Just the whole thing I find revolting. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm just not a nationalist and I don't vibe it, but like.
It's crazy. I think I mentioned before the show just the idea that on like an anniversary of the like founding of your country, that you're saying like my the party, the opposition party are all communists and they suck. It's like no, that's that's crazy to think about that the head of state would say something like that.
In some ways, but of course, he's the most American president they've ever had, right?
Yeah,
like he's
right.
Unabashedly a bully, a racist, a scoundrel, a crook. Like there's something, I don't know, narratively perfect about it, even if it is incredibly disturbing.
Yeah. So cool. I've seen just a lot of like, you know, the various posts from like, you know, anyone I follow who's based in the States or whatever, just being like, so how are you all feeling watching our republic die? Like they've all been feeling particularly doom and gloomy of the 4th of July this year.
I did see a stat actually. It was like 94%. The question was,
that's
like,
a high
how content are you, or are you? I'll remember the question now.
That's all right. We'll wait. No,
it
you
was like
just
how
wait
content?
and
How
think it out,
content
and then...
are you with the state of America, or something like that? And it was like 94% was the Republican vote. They're quite happy with how it's going. 44% was Democrats, and then there was some others as well. But the point being is that it's like this sort of like information shift rift between
Bifurcated
Republican,
reality.
just different realities. Of
If
what
you're
people
still a
believe.
member of the Republican Party, you're in for a penny, in for a pound at this point, right? Like there's clearly that 37% of 1937% of voters that will just go along with this guy through hell or high water, right? So
the number that jumps out of me there, I know, Adam, you're sort of remembering it, so I won't hold you to the exact points. But so 44% of Democrat members are content with the state of America right now.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That
or like it might have been
that's
like
insane.
Do you think the question might have been? Do you think America is living up to the founding fathers' ideals or something like that?
well, that's a very different question. Why don't you go Google it and then we can fucking talk about it on the show?
But either way, it's the same thing. People are the Republicans are like, yeah, we're going great. Democrats,
yeah, of course, because they're guys. We see this thing, like you see this every time whenever the parties change hands. If your guy is the president, your satisfaction of the economy flips and is much higher. And then when your guy's out of power, your satisfaction flips and you're dissatisfied with the economy, even though it's the same economy, right? Like we see that every time the presidency changes hands, is whichever party you belong to is now the unhappy party if you're the opposite of the party that's in power, right?
Yeah.
So we've got Twin Rotors in the chat saying donors who intended to support a bipartisan non-profit that's organising celebrations for America's 250th anniversary were allegedly redirected without their knowledge to a separate non-profit behind events being promoted by President Donald Trump, according to a report from a group of House Democrats citing confidential unnamed sources. I think that's entirely possible. I mean, we've seen the Trump administration.
The perfect encapsulation of
it's literally P.T. Barnum, the president. We've seen during both Trump campaigns really dodgy shit happening with donations in terms of like convincing people to sign up for donations that they did not know were recurring, but in fact were recurring donations, and sort of refusing to give the money back. And it's like the point of the Trump administration now is, number one, avoid The Hague, and number two, keep generating as much money as possible. And one has to wonder, given that the man is, what is he, 80 now? He's got to be in his late 70s.
He turned 80 like a couple of weeks ago. That was the UFC fight on the White House lawn.
What is the point of all this graft and corruption and manipulation of the stock market and 3,700 trades and all this sort of stuff to generate additional money? Like, you're already a billionaire. You're clearly about to die because your body is crumbling like the republic that you head. What is the point of earning additional money? Like, it just seems like some Walter White kind of like empire building nonsense, as Twin Rotors in the chat says he's obsessed with leaving a mark.
It's exactly that. Like, it's all he.
If I can't be the best, I'll be the worst. I'll be the worst president in America. He's just a heel. He's a wrestling heel from the WWE as president.
He wants to be like remembered like a god. Like,
it's legacy.
It's why there's that in sort of the coverage of his speech in front of Mount Rushmore. People have they've linked that he just like one of his throwaway things of he hasn't like ruled out the idea of having his own face added to Mount Rushmore just because someone said they should. And it's like, don't take that as that's gonna happen. But yeah, of course he'd be pretty great for my face to be up there with like Lincoln and Washington and crazy. Jefferson.
But what's the point of earning all of this additional corrupt money? It's not because you love your kids and you want them to be wealthy. Like, clearly that's not why you're doing it, right? So it's just about you and your empire building, I guess.
Yeah.
The man's just such an utter devout narcissist. He should be the patron saint of narcissists. The man is just like the level of mental dysfunction. I've just never seen anything like it.
It's out of control, and it's
anyway. 2 more years.
Yep. We're only halfway through.
Yep.
If that.
Only 2 more years. Sure, third term's coming, boys. They'll find a way.
Don't even put that out into the ether. I don't want that.
Speaking of making lots of money, PlayStation and Sony
Yeah.
have had an announcement. Tom, you have strong
Yeah,
feelings
let's-
on this. What is the announcement and what are your
boy.
thoughts?
Yeah, right. Let's take a hard pivot. We're going to jump into a whole area that we never really talk about that much. I know people tune out as soon as we start talking about video games, the industry. But
It's all about ethics in games journalism, Tom.
Stick with us. This matters. So PlayStation dropped a little post on. It's quite short, given how widely impacting it is, on the PlayStation blog. But the TLDR is all in the headline, which is physical disc production ending in January 2028 for new games releasing on PlayStation consoles. Effectively meaning that from January 2028 onwards, you will only be able to get new PlayStation games via the PlayStation Store, accessed directly via your PlayStation console.
In an unrelated announcement, George never ever playing a PlayStation game again, also slated to occur at January of 2028.
Just, I mean, yeah, people have been talking about this, when is this going to happen for ages, right? Like, I mean, PC gaming kind of ditched discs, like, a long time ago. I haven't bought a physical, I think the last physical PC game I bought was actually shockingly recent in 2020. It was Cyberpunk 2027, I believe, because I got a staff discount. Because, yes, full disclosure, I work for a business that sells video games, so obviously not having physical video games in stores.
It's just the bias of the liberal media, the biased media coming in and telling us their perspectives, trying to influence us. You're part of the problem, Tom.
Yeah, can have a bit of that, but also, yeah, we sell stuff that isn't video games, but also I'd feel this way regardless. But just, yeah, full disclosure there. But yeah, so this means a lot of things. Mainly that, like, it's been a case for a long time now that we don't own what we buy. Like, even when you've any kind of digital purchase that you've made, you don't actually own what you're buying. It's even though they call it buying and purchasing and owning, it is actually just you are leasing access to the software. Because even though while it is on your respective machine, you can be accessing it and using it, although not always the case if it involves any online capabilities, like if it requires internet access or server usage or anything like that. Well, really, your usage of the software is only tied to as long as those services exist. There was a recent case which kicked off a whole actual commission to the EU about not killing games. It was called the Stop Killing Games movement.
Yeah, it's where historical preservation is what it sort of talks about.
Well, yes, and the game that kicked it off was a game called The Crew, which is like a racing game that has single-player progression in it, but it was also designed to, the main focus was to have a big open world with other players and all that sort of stuff, so it had a big online focus. It was online mandatory to play even single player, and the publisher Ubisoft, I believe, announced that they were shutting down the servers for it after it had been it's been 10 years or something like that. But since they're taking the servers down, the game would be unplayable. Even if you had a disc, that's why this is kind of an awkward metaphor for this.
Crazy.
Even if you had a physical copy, you install the physical game on your system, and you still can't play it in this case. The game is killed. It is unplayable. Those discs are now coasters. So yeah, that kicked off a whole petition being like, hey, you kind of can't do that. You shouldn't be allowed to do that. I don't think it actually went anywhere. I think the EU struck it down. Anyway, the problem here is that, yeah, it just means that into the future, PlayStation games and your access to them will be entirely beholden to a terms of service that none of us have read. We all know it's full of all that crap, but part of it is that they can just take the games away from you at any time. Case in point, on the same day that they posted this blog post, there was another blog post. I don't think I put this in the show notes, but there was another blog post they did that they're titled "An Update on the PlayStation Store for PS3 and PS Vita." They're taking the PlayStation Store offline for PlayStation 3 and PS Vita in 2027. So
the consequence, you can't buy anything from those from the PlayStation Store. It did say you can still
re-download
get updates.
but I don't think re-download anything that you.
Yes, but if you've still got the disc copy, you'd still be able to put the disc in the game, and if there was an update required, I think it would still download. Was sort of the
Yes,
implication.
this is more that anything you bought via the PlayStation Store,
Yeah,
which
that's
like
done.
maybe smaller indie titles and things that don't have the publishing capability of doing a physical launch or anything like that. So just in the same breath to be like, we're going full digital. And, oh, by the way, here's a very tangible example of how that's bad because we're just going to take them away from you.
Yeah.
is
Take them away,
insane.
toys.
And I didn't expect it to happen this fast because this comes in the same week. I'm going to go on a slight tangent here. As pre-orders for Grand Theft Auto 6 went live. And, Grand Theft Auto 6, the most hotly anticipated thing in the history of things. Like, Grand Theft Auto defines economies. I cannot overstate
And we'll see it
how big a deal this is.
In 5 to 10 years.
November 19, Adam.
At this stage, Tom, until they push it back again.
So you say.
No, it's locked in. Usually when Rockstar drop the pre-order live thing, it's like they're committing.
Something's going to drop. It may be dog shit and have a bunch of day one updates, but they're dropping something.
And the crazy, the extra little tidbit of that is that the quote-unquote physical launch is just going to be a case with a code inside. There's not going to be discs to install from. So you're getting a digital license to GTA 6 no matter where you purchase it from. Setting a precedent. And also they've upped the retail price of them to like $80 rather than $70, which means
it
it's like
completely
100.
kills
It's like
the resale
130.
market, doesn't it?
Yes.
So you can
and that's
charge
why
whatever
they're
you
doing
want
it.
for it for a digital copy that costs you now nothing to distribute, right?
That is exactly why they're doing it, and PlayStation is capitalizing on that as well because it means that every single player has purchased it via their official channels and they've gotten a cut from it. They are trying to kill the secondhand market. They're trying to kill a competitive pricing as well because I know
price is the only price, right?
Well, so I know I'm going on a long ramble here, but like people have been likening it to when I mentioned before PC gaming. The PC games have been digital through for the longest time. But the difference there is PC is a more open platform.
Yes, exactly.
It
you
has
can't only buy from Steam.
Right? Yeah, yes, there are games that are sort of exclusive to some of these. You're not going to find Half-Life 2 on another store. That'll be on Steam because the makers of Steam also made the game. But for the vast majority of titles, there is at least other launchers that you can be accessing games from. So they have to be kind of a little bit competitive with each other. But also, Steam's never shown the precedent of taking anything away, even if you've bought it. Yes, there's been things that have been pulled from availability. But for example, I've got a game that I think I've had in my Steam account for 20 years now that I don't think is available for purchase in Australia anymore via Steam, but I can still re-download
But you still have it, yeah.
That's, of course, at their discretion. That's not a silver bullet. We're all beholden to just these companies' availabilities, but they've at least not shown that precedent yet. But on PlayStation, on Xbox, on all that sort of stuff, they just have their own storefront, so their price goes, and they do the recommended retail, which at the moment is $125 or $130 a game.
And this is the thing, is that if you're going to take away discs, great. Now drop the price by $30.
Yeah, that's not what they're going to do. That's the whole point, is to just pocket the difference, right?
Yeah.
And we should be clear, you can still go into a EB Games or whatever the gaming site. EB Games don't actually sell games anymore, I don't think, do they?
No, they do. They do.
They do? Okay.
As well as a whole bunch of pop culture merch stuff.
Yeah, a lot of merch I've seen there recently. But anyway, so you can't go into an EB Games. Well, you can, sorry. You still can go into an EB Games and you can buy a Sony game, but all you'll get is a box with a code in it, basically. Is that what we're saying?
Well, that's what Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be like. So, that hasn't happened that much in the console space, but, that's the new element for when GTA 6 drops in November.
I think
the intention is to completely cut out the middleman out of the distribution channel.
You reckon
entirely.
Get rid of retailers? I reckon
that
which
I think that will hurt them in the short term until everyone gets used to buying all their stuff online.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a situation where they're capturing 100%.
Yeah.
This is as someone who's done an MBA, this is an MBA brain move.
Ding, 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 ding.
You capture the entire vertical
Where's the bell?
value stack, right? You, the publisher, the distributor, the developer of the game is all Sony now. And you own the marketing, you own the distribution, you own every single
you
part
own
of
the
the
supply
value
chain.
chain.
Yeah.
You own
Yeah.
the whole chain. You're now not having to cut in retailers at a reduced markup so they can then add their profit to turn around and say, you sell your game at $130, you capture $130 in its entirety. That's why they are doing this. And the digital infrastructure is now advanced enough that it's in place enough where they could feasibly do this. I think what they're not counting on is people like me saying,
Yeah.
well, fuck it, then I'm not going to buy I'm not going to buy the PlayStation 6. I'm not going to get your exclusive games. I'm just going to stick to my PC then, because I'm not going to sign up for
Not to mention
$130
the yearly
games for the rest of my
PlayStation
life.
subscription as well,
That
which is
too.
like what,
All that
80,
sort of
90
shit.
bucks or whatever the fuck it
That
is.
too. Yeah, they are becoming. I saw it put obviously this had a bit of a bias to it because it's like, a PC gaming like publication, but they were just like, consoles are just trying to become bad PCs.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to have all the benefit of PCs,
And
but
PCs
in
like
the
the
shitty
Steam
monopoly.
Cube. The Steam Cube is trying to become a console. So it's all just
Yeah.
kind of heading towards this like box for gaming thing. And I think everyone kind of loses in that equation. Like, I understand the need to be able to, the want and the need to have all your games available and play all your games everywhere in the same place. But that leans much more to me to like getting some sort of desktop PC console, right, that's attached to your television than it does to moving more and more to a PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
It does say I will be very clear, it does say on their press release, following this date, January 2028, new games will be available on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. So they're not
Okay.
cutting retailers out entirely yet, being the key
Yes,
word.
but
So I
that's
think-
obviously the intention.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're not going to be buying, like, you are buying a license.
Devil's advocate, though.
Oh, all right. Devil's avocado. Let's go.
PlayStation have been doing this. Is not like a new concept for PlayStation.
No.
They've effectively been doing this since every time a new generation of console comes in. The replayability and the ability for you to take a PS1 game and play it with your PS3, or PS1 versus PS2, PS3, like, because it's all different
Backwards
architecture.
compatibility.
It's never really quite been there. They have to re-release them on the store.
PlayStation
and-
5 and PlayStation 4 were
Yeah.
backwards compatible.
But no, I see Adam's point, though.
My
in that,
point
like,
being is, like, when was the last
Yeah.
time you picked up your disc copy of, like, Medal of Honor from the PS1 and played that?
No, not in a long
Like-
time. I mean, I've been doing a lot of Android emulation on the side, and that's been great to
yeah.
revisit old games. But yeah,
And
no,
Nintendo's
exactly
been better
that.
with this because they've got a lot of their back catalog included with their Nintendo subscription or whatever, which you can play on the Switch. So you can
again,
play
through a-
old,
but
like
through a
Banjo Kazooie
subscription,
and those
like-
sort of stuff. Yeah.
I
Again,
guess my
like, through a
point being
subscription,
is
they can take away from you at any time.
Yes.
it's nice to have, and again, the concept of ownership is something here that I think is very important. But by the same token, in reality, like, I don't know whether, like, the reason why they're turning off the PS3 store is they can see the stats of who's using it, and no one's using it. They're just turning it off. They're not doing it like, they're doing it because it's not making any money and no one's
Yeah.
using it. And why would you have the servers still going and running if
Yeah.
I get that. I
No,
don't think
exactly
anyone's
right.
saying like
Yeah.
you're obliged to run the servers in perpetuity, but what you shouldn't be able to do is shut everything down past a certain point and just go. And because these companies are also real dicks about emulation. So there are games that you cannot buy or play on the Nintendo Store that if a YouTuber is caught emulating them on an Android device and playing them, that they'll shut the YouTube channel down because,
Yeah.
it's
Copyright
infringing on our
infringement.
intellectual
Yeah.
property. It's like,
Yeah.
well, you can't have it both ways. You can't say, oh, no one wants to play these games, it's not profitable, so we're shutting it down. But also, if you find a way to play them on your own and you're not giving us money, you're fucked, mate. Like, it's just, it does seem very
Yeah.
counterintuitive, right?
Yeah, and it also becomes and I think actually on the whole, like, playing your old games and stuff like that. So even with it being PC being a more digital storefront, at least what we've seen so far, like, yes, you have to sometimes dick around the edges to get some things to sort of work, but like, I can play a game that released in like 1991 on my
And it'll
PC
play,
if
yeah.
I want to. Like, you can make it work. Like, there's that forwardness of operating systems, and that's the problem that we've had with consoles, right? Like, yeah, you mentioned, Adam, with like, the PlayStation 2 could play the PlayStation 1. That was great. When the PS3 came out, yeah, it could do the PS1, but PS2 involved some tricky hardware, so they
Different
dropped it.
architecture.
PlayStation 4, they went, fuck all y'all. It's just PS4 onwards, and then PS5 they've got PS4, but not earlier, so they've fucked around with it a bit. Xbox have been a bit better with their either you can put like 360 discs in like the current Xboxes and still play them, or they've like released them digitally and things like that as well. But yeah, play a PC at least. Into the future, they see it's a more like there's at least been the preservation of like longevity of games, because also from an art perspective, like if it could just be like, oh hey, no, you can't watch Gone with the Wind anymore. Like remember Gone with the Wind, like this seminal, like you
gotta
this,
buy it on Blu-ray
iconic...
if you want to watch it. You can't watch it on DVD anymore. Fuck yous.
Well, or even just like you can't. It's just not around anymore. Like they worked on it only worked on Betamax. And Betamax isn't a thing anymore, so like, nah, sorry. Unless you have an old Betamax, you cannot watch that film anymore. Like,
but I suppose that's why I've always gone so hard on my Steam library as compared to the consoles. Like, I really only will go to PlayStation if there's an exclusive that I really want to play, and that's the thing that I'll buy on PlayStation is Ghost of Yotei, or or God of War or something like that, where it really is not sold anywhere else and I can't play it. And if it really becomes a situation where I'm locked into this little ecosystem now and I can't buy anything else, and they're not going to be selling these games on PC a year or two later like they have been doing, Sony.
Well, they're not anymore. They've announced that too. They're like,
I don't know. I'm just out, man. Like, if you have such a walled garden that's so walled that the cost of entry is $130 a pop, or whatever we fucking say it is, right?
On top of the machine.
On top of the machine, I just go, okay, well, I'm out of the walled garden then. Like, you've successfully discouraged me from getting into the walled garden in the first place.
Do you think that, like, if let's say PS5, if the architecture of that, translates through the next few generations of consoles, that maybe we won't have this problem. Maybe that if the architecture all lines up and the way the coding infrastructure is built and all that kind of stuff, it means that maybe 2 or 3 we won't have the problem of backwards compatibility, because they'll be able to just have it all sitting there on the store. And
that is
that's all done with emulation anyway. So even if the architectures are not compatible, you have emulators coming up in the open source community for PlayStation 4 on PC, right?
Yeah.
So there are people out there, there are nerds out there that will build this stuff out so it works. And I think Nintendo was accused of, there was some Nintendo display event and they were using Nintendo emulators to play old Nintendo games and have them play at this event, right?
That
so
feels like shooting yourself in the foot.
That is the best way of actually playing these old systems.
But like, if Sony create their own emulator and they run that on whatever their latest console is, I just think that maybe in a couple, we're at this point where backwards compatibility is, we're kind of in this technology,
I don't want to have to buy the same game 5 times.
No,
the amount
and
of
that's the other
times
thing.
that I've had to buy fucking BioShock.
Yes.
To have it is dumb. I've bought it like 3 times. I think I bought it once on
I bought Metal
Xbox
Gear
360.
Solid a few times on different platforms.
Exactly. Perfect example. Like Metal Gear Solid 2, I'm pretty sure I bought that at least a couple of times, right? The idea is you buy a game and you have it and it's yours. And at least, even though nominally on Steam that is not the case, you're buying a license, it does kind of work out that way. I've got a little console TV situation set up, right? So I can play the games I buy on Steam here. I can stop playing on my computer and I can go inside and pick it up on the console and keep playing through, and syncs through Steam Cloud. I don't have to buy the same game 3 different times. Everything just syncs up with everything else. It makes a lot more sense for that to be the case than it does to then separately go and get a PlayStation, which only sits in one place and you can't access it.
But
if I'm playing on the ROG Ally on the handheld, I'm still accessing the Steam Cloud. I'm accessing the same game, and I can continue. I can start here and then go traveling for work and then keep playing on the plane or whatever. And it's like a continuous experience. PlayStation doesn't have any of that.
Yeah.
But also, I will say, that wasn't out of the box. You've spent years putting all this together to make it work.
What do you mean?
Oh,
so?
yeah.
Oh, well, my point being is,
if it's all running Steam,
people are not everyone's going to put as much effort into having it set up as you have. Is my point.
I mean, I'm not doing
the
anything
the point of a
special
console
technically.
is
I've just
you turn
set up
it on
like
and it just goes.
and it works,
Yeah,
which I really appreciate. Right, that's the value of a console, is you just stick it in and it works. And that's why I had such high hopes for the Steam Cube, which is basically just like a desktop PC that sits.
Oh,
next
the Steam
to the TV.
machine, the
Steam machine. Sorry, or the Gabe Cube, as people are calling it. That's why I had such high hopes for that, because I was like, oh, okay, well, it's like really going to help Steam break into the console market. They've already got the Steam Deck, which is a handheld portable device.
And the
maybe
OS,
they can,
yeah.
you know, sort of break into that sort of console space, but the specs on it are pretty weak and it seems pretty expensive. Like I built a custom PC that I'm running Linux on, you know, it's like Steam OS. I know not everyone's going to do that,
one's
but if
gonna
they
do
could buy a commercially available piece of hardware, if they could buy a Steam
Equivalent. Yeah.
yeah, like you're probably going to pay $1,000 for the next Sony console
PlayStation
anyway.
Yeah.
So
I
if
mean,
you
the
can
PS5 is currently $1,000 retail Australia.
Okay, so it's going to be more than that, no doubt. So if you're starting to look to PC prices, $1,500-$1,600 for a little gaming PC, you may as well buy a Steam, what they call Steam Machine.
Steam Machine.
Because they're now starting to, you know, sort of drift closer and closer together in terms of what it is.
Yeah,
they
make
actually
it
offer
more
people.
user friendly. But I guess the counterpoint I find is that, like, while so far Valve, the proponents of Steam, have been good guy Valve sort of all the time, of like not taking things away and like have been keeping that infrastructure sort of all set up, there's still that sort of Damocles hanging over it, right? Compared to if you have the machine that you're just keeping maintained and the disk that you can chuck in and do it. Although then again, another avenue of it is so many games have been like, oh, we've maxed the disk out with all the data, but you still need an extra 10 gig that's on the
still
server
need to
anyway.
download
So-
anyway.
There is still
So-
there is still you put it in and there is still a update that comes through, right?
And whether or not the real question is whether or not is there a playable version of it that doesn't need that update. Like it might be broken and bugged, but that's what gaming was like in the 90s before they did all this sort of stuff. Like game breaking bug in the ET game that turned up that made all of them get buried in the desert.
I have an original disc copy of No Man's Sky from 2016.
Oh, I'd love to know what that's like offline.
And even when I put that on, when I first installed that on PS4, it was there was a download. So even the first version I played wasn't the disc version.
No.
So I do wonder. Yeah, I do want because it's a game
have we been in this state for years already? Right,
Kind of. We've been pushing towards it. I mean, there's something interesting that I noticed the other day as I was trying to play 007 First Light on my ROG Ally when I was on the plane.
First one's free.
First one's free, 007. It's I'm surprised at how good it is. It's like Uncharted plus Spies. Love it. It's really good. I was on the plane and I had the save state loaded up because I made sure to sync it before I left the house. I was like, great, I'm on the plane on the way home from a work trip. I'm going to play some 007, right? I've got the plug here and everything I can plug in for power, so I'm not going to run out. It's going to be great. And I launched Steam and it says, oh, you can't play this game. You're offline. I was like, but it's a one-player game. Why would I need to be online to play this? I was like, sorry, you need to be online. So I think like a really under-discussed part about all of this is that if you have a situation where physical games are no longer being sold, they're only sold online, the amount of digital surveillance that is likely to now occur is going to increase exponentially, right? You need to have an online connection to get the game in the first place.
To
right?
validate that it's a legit
to
copy
validate that it's
or
legit.
all that
And you
sort of
can't go
stuff.
offline because then you might be copying it and doing weird stuff. So you need to be
piracy.
persistently online. And because you're persistently online, it means we can collect all of this data about how you play, how often you play, what are you in the market for, how much do you play for games. All of this stuff, all of this information was available, but now it is now increasingly available across their entire customer database for every single player on every single game. And I think we're just, Shoshana Zuboff, who wrote The Age of Surveillance Capitalism, talks about this a lot, but it really is creating what she describes it as contracts of adhesion, right? Take it or leave it conditions. You don't sign a terms and conditions, you sign a contract of adhesion. And this says whatever the fuck we want it to say. You have no rights in this transaction. No one else is involved. And now you have to do whatever the fuck we say if you want to continue using the service. And we see that with other kinds of digital products. And we're now seeing it with gaming. And I find it concerning. The amount of information they're collecting and the terms that they will now be able to dictate if this is the case going forward.
And the other part, I know that I keep
all the
saying that. And the
non-gamers
other
have
part-
tuned
and the
off.
other
Everyone's
part of
gone.
this,
Everyone's gone now.
is also the accessibility aspect of it as well. Because like killing the secondhand market and also retail,
Which is how I buy most of my games.
Well, yeah, like killing the
Because I'm
secondhand
not spending
market.
$130 on the fucking Kirby Air Riders. I'm not going to.
Yeah, killing the secondhand market and then the competitiveness in like retail spaces and all that sort of stuff means that the games will all be 130 a pop until they say so.
Forever.
And then like so people who as Twin Rotors in the chat mentioned that they buy secondhand games all day long. Like I often bought like secondhand deals kind of around for like my console games. Also like libraries. Like libraries have games that people borrow from, or so many games in my childhood, like when I was a teenager, when you didn't have didn't have adult money, some of my favorite games were ones because a mate had it and I borrowed it off him.
Yeah, or you
gave
got
it
it
a
secondhand
go.
a couple of years after release, and you could afford it, right?
And then I bought into like God of War is a case of that for me. I love those games. The first one, I borrowed it from a friend and played it, loved it. And then I've bought into that series later. So, like, they got my money as a result of me borrowing a game. And it's so rich that PlayStation capitalized on this, like, 13 years ago at the launch of the PS4 by being like, how great is it you can lend games to physical games to each other? Haha, Microsoft going online only. How the turntables.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does strike me as the NBA brainification of all of these companies. They're all just trying to become SaaS recurring revenue based companies because number has to go up, right? And what they're never considering, any of them, throughout all of this is what is it like for the customer experience? They really hate us. That's what it feels like. They really think we're idiots and that we deserve what we get and we'll be happy to take it.
And we need our gammy gams.
I need my games and I'll pay anything to get it, and they can just abuse us. They really dislike us, I think, as a customer cohort. And that's why you see that phrase proliferating online. If owning something isn't owning something, then stealing it isn't theft, right? Like if the idea is I never own anything, if I'm always renting things and I never own anything, no matter how much I pay, well, that creates a moral permission structure for piracy, right?
Yeah. But you wouldn't steal a car.
You wouldn't steal a car, unless I could double click the car and get an exact copy of the car, and the owner of the car doesn't lose their car. I just also get a car. Well, yeah, then I might actually. If the car is just a lease that he doesn't own, and nobody owns cars, and I just double click a car, and now I get a car. Yeah, I probably would in that situation.
After a short download.
After a buffering period.
Yeah.
Got to download the shaders.
You have to be online when you're driving the car.
I don't think we've got time for our next article, but we'll talk about it next week because it's an evergreen one, or it might develop potentially.
For all the music theatre nerds.
For all the music theatre nerds out there.
We placated the gamers.
Yeah.
Next week, theatre nerds.
We'll talk about theatre, and you guys can all fall asleep.
On that note, we are, and we always will be Unnatural Selection. Make sure you visit us at our salubrious home on the web, unnaturalshow.com. Make sure you follow us on all the bullshit social medias that have, do, or ever will exist at our handle at Unnatural Show. That's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Motherflippin' TikTok. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok at George Tsipos.
You can follow me on Threads at tom.heath.
And you can follow me down to see whether or not what do I do with my PS3 now? I don't know what to do. Do I sell my PS3? Do I just keep it in a box somewhere and hold it forever? Like
you keep it. You hold it close around the bin fire.
Right.
When the
the controllers barely work now, so I don't know. The
controllers are the most valuable part, as I learned from selling my PS4 recently. So you either sell it immediately when the next generation of thing comes out, or you wait 20, 30 years and then it becomes retro and then shoots up in price again, and then you sell it. So you either have to warehouse it for the next 20, 30 years or get rid of it.
George, I had to break it to you. The PS3 is considered retro.
It's already retro?
Well, it came out 20 years ago.
Oh, fuck me dead. I'm old. Okay. Thanks for listening, guys. Love your faces. We'll see you next week. Fuck. Thanks for that, Tom. Jesus Christ.
2006, baby.